Hello? What?
Who is booking this crap?
The door
Well, if you can't
is
listen, you're
open.
all fired.
Come on in. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on episode 2 of The Booking Room. Dylan, what we saying, brother?
Well, it's been a busy week. The weeklies are out. The weeklies are done. It's Sunday. It's that time of the week where it's just time to deflate and, restart, because as of tomorrow, it's a wrestling week again.
Yes, a lot of wrestling has been consumed this week. I felt like I watched 50,000 hours, if I'm being honest.
It
But
does feel
not a
like
bad
that.
week. Not a
It
bad
wasn't a
week for
bad
pro
week at all.
wrestling.
But it does feel
No.
like that after a week, because back in the day we grew up in a time where it was Mondays and sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, because they've moved SmackDown around a bit. But
Mm.
in recent years now, you've got your Mondays, your Tuesdays, your Wednesdays, your is there something
Fridays.
on a Thursday?
NXT, brother.
Impact on a Thursday.
Impact.
Yeah,
If anyone watches that.
yeah.
What?
We used to, or at least I used to.
I used to.
You got your Fridays. Yeah, it's every day.
Yeah,
And if it's a
yeah,
pay-per-view on, it's on a Sunday, so it can be a whole week some weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is us.
Well, it is us, the booking room. Now, if those of you who are new to the booking room, on this show we discuss the weekly happenings in the weird, wonderful world of professional wrestling. We discuss the key events that happen on the show, such as Raw, SmackDown, anything WWE, anything AEW, and much, much more. We debate, we book, and we we debate, rebook the current storylines in our hypothetical image. Not only that, we discuss the trending news that's happening in the world of professional wrestling. So that was difficult. I tried to read that out, if anyone didn't know. Still trying to get used to the old swing of things. Now, guys, on today's show, we're going to be discussing these key events. Brock Lesnar returning to Monday Night Raw in the final build with Cody Rhodes for SummerSlam. Very exciting. We're going to discuss a little bit about the Adam Cole MJF storyline, the Don Callis Chris Jericho story, of course, SmackDown's Bloodline segments, Samoa Joe versus CM Punk, and Edge giving Grayson Waller the mighty rub. Mate,
The mighty
what do you
rub.
think? What did you think of this week's in a review as a whole? What did you think?
In every week with wrestling, it had its ups and it had its downs. I'm not gonna say it was a bad week though. SmackDown was I'll start from the top. Monday was okay. It wasn't as fire out of the gate, but it was decent. Had some good points. And then going on to Dynamite, again, it was all right. It was entertaining, but it weren't a groundbreaking episode. It weren't a big hits episode. Then SmackDown didn't blow me away until the Bloodline stuff later on. I did appreciate the Edge Grayson Waller match. I got some thoughts on Grayson Waller, but we'll discuss that later. And then there was Collision and, to be fair, Rampage in between and stuff. Like, again, we had a good week. It weren't that amazing. It, coming from last week's Money in the Bank and all that, the big stuff. It didn't deflate too much, but it did feel like a lower week. It felt like a rest week.
See, for me, like, I agree. At the start of the week, I thought, it's going to be a bit of a lackluster week. I didn't think we'd have a lot of content to talk about, but it seemed like more as the shows went on, there'd just been more and more content, more and more positive things that came out of the week as the week went on. So first of all, Monday Night Raw, first segment, we get Cody come to the ring. Before he even speaks, we get the return of Brock Lesnar. His music hits, just comes out.
I loved the way they did that.
Hot and heavy. I was a big fan of that. Same usual thing that happens with the Brock Lesnar segment. He's not going to do a fat lot, but what we do get is usually gold and decent brawl, believable brawl. We're cooking there. We're on the road to SummerSlam for their final blow off. Yeah, are you still into this feud, mate? Personally, I think the past two matches have been great. The chemistry's been great. All their content as far as story and action, I believe, has all been very fantastic. What are your thoughts on it?
I think so. I still struggle a little bit sometimes to adjust to Cody being the guy now. Like, I love it.
What do you mean?
No, because I love it, and I'm so for Cody being the guy. But I remember Cody Rhodes before. I remember Cody Rhodes when he came in, when he had the feud with Hardcore Holly, when he tagged with Hardcore Holly and then split off and joined DiBiase. I remember early Cody Rhodes. I remember Cody Rhodes,
Mufasa, it's in the past.
No, that's what I'm saying. I remember, so when I see Cody Rhodes, I remember old Cody Rhodes. And I remember I know where Brock is now. And in my head, when I
Yeah.
see Cody versus Brock and they're having this big feud, I still think of like Cody as like, 10 years ago, Cody would have been 1F5 and never seen for like 6 months. You know what I mean? But now Cody's the man. Cody's like fighting Brock. He's up there with the Cenas and the Triple H's of
He's
Brock's opponents. It's kind of fun to see. I love the way
he's
they
that
did the
poster
segment.
boy.
I love the way he did the segment
Yeah.
though, because I popped huge because I was expecting Cody versus Seth again for the World Heavyweight title. I was like so up for it, and I was proper like
Mm.
built up to it. And then when he gave it the old, so what is it? I was like,
Dun, dun,
"Whoa!"
dun, dun. Yeah, I was hyped as well, man. Like, as I said before, like their Backlash in Puerto Rico match was outstanding. Night of Champions was outstanding. Two really good finishes. Both of them look strong every single time. But the thing I would personally do now that I think I'd rebook for SummerSlam is I think that they have to do a match that's special. And now I want to say something to you now, and I'll see if you agree or you disagree. But um, you know, it's the blow off, and I feel like they need to do something that's special and something that needs to stand out. So I think, they need to do some sort of special stipulation that adds that little bit of extra flavor to the match. So I was thinking, if I had the book, if I had the pen, if you will, I would, I would put them because of how successful it's been in the last two times they've done it. I think they should do a fight pit because of Brock Lesnar's background, because of the UFC, because of he's got that real fighter feel about him. Like he's revered as this big fighter. The fight pit would be the place to go, and I feel like it would be the perfect blow off match for this story. What do you think?
I wouldn't go fight pit. I agree with you. It needs to be a gimmick match. It's got to be something to sort of blow this off. A singles again is going to be a bit, I mean, the guy just got his arm broke by Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? Like you don't get your arm broke by someone and then go, okay, now I want to wrestle you within the rules and knock you down so I can get 3 count on you. Like you don't do that. So, but for me, I'd go one of my favorite match types, last man standing.
Outstanding, not a bad
Or
shout.
Or, oh, here's something. Boom, brain, mind. Uh, I'd bring back an old stipulation because Cody's always talking about wanting to bring back the older belts and this and that. I'd
Mhm.
bring back an old stipulation. I'd go 3 stages of hell.
Maybe like first single, second submission, last no disqualification, maybe, or a
Something like
steel
that.
cage.
Or a
Steel
steel
cage could be
cage or
loaded
a
for.
Hell in a Cell or
Yeah.
something. Because we haven't had a Hell in a Cell this year or last year because, they've done the whole thing of trying to do away with the gimmick pay-per-views.
Oh, there was one at WrestleMania, Edge and Finn Balor.
Oh, snap. Yeah, well, that match was so memorable.
Yeah.
Good for me, I remembered it.
No, to be honest, I actually really enjoyed it. It was good. But no, like there are rumblings online actually of I have seen people throwing out like because of Cody and Dusty, it to be a bull rope match, which
I hate that match.
I wouldn't be opposed to that idea, but take away the bull rope and make it a chain match, so it can be bloody, so it could be physical.
It's not going to be bloody, mate.
Um,
It's WWE.
the last two matches have been bloody,
They weren't really bloody. Brock had a minor gash.
a massive cut on his head that bled everywhere. Yeah, good one.
Oh, they were a minor gash. It weren't Cody Rhodes in AEW level of blood, mate. It weren't
Well, no, because there's no
19
razor
liters.
blades involved.
It weren't no 19 liters of blood, mate.
I think what you've said there, though, I have to agree with you in the sense that if they do have a last man standing match, it's another one that Brock Lesnar could afford to lose because he's not pinned or submitted. So it would keep him strong. So I'm going to go with you on this one. I'm going to say last man standing match. I think it makes the most sense to keep Brock strong for WrestleMania season.
And there's a way to play it so you keep Brock strong, right? The same way
Well,
they've done in the past with these kind of matches. You have Cody use his smarts to keep Brock down. Whether it's like Roman did, trapping him under the table and all the furniture, or it's handcuff him to the lower ropes so he can't get to his full feet. You know what I mean? You don't have to have Cody be so strong he's knocked Brock Lesnar out, this beast, this monster. You could have Cody be smart and he's hit him with like 3 crossroads and Brock's not staying down. So he, duct tapes him to the bottom rope or handcuffs him to the post or something. So you still keep Brock strong. He never got knocked out, but he couldn't get up for the count.
I like it. I like it because you've made the babyface look clever, and you kind of humiliate the heel, leaving him embarrassed, which I quite like. Which it gives him more frustration, more anger for his return. Maybe keep him off to the Royal Rumble season, have him come in and have a really good Royal Rumble showing to set up, like a Gunther Lesnar next year's WrestleMania, maybe something like that. Something good to build the next star. Yeah, apart from that though, mate, who do you think goes over at SummerSlam? Has to be Cody, right?
Has to be Cody in Cody's build back to the finishing of the story. But I don't think, again, if they go last man standing or something like that, I don't think it hurts Cody to lose to a real legitimate Brock Lesnar in a fight.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. Switching things up a little bit now, we're going to move over to a little bit of All Elite Wrestling. I want to talk a little bit about the MJF Adam Cole story.
My guy, Adam Cole.
Very, very different approach from AEW this week. And what I mean by that is, it's usually a wrestling heavy product, there's that style that's, synonymous with AEW, the in-ring work rate, the longer matches, the more athletic ability. But, when you see MJF, like, he always has like a different approach. And this week was very interesting to me because it was very sports entertainment.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is their in-ring promo with the cake where he pushed his head in the cake. It felt very Vince McMahon, because he loves food, he loves feces, he loves people having food fights. It's a very Vince McMahon approach, and I found it quite interesting because I feel like AEW need this kind of entertainment on their show for the casual viewer. You're only gonna if all this work rate and all these long wrestling matches are only gonna go so far, and I feel like this is good entertainment for the casual viewer. And as far as their story goes, I like it. I like the fact that they've had this device where they've been forced to team together. But I love the whole Oddfellows tag team thing to create conflict. But my only problem with this is they've got a blind eliminator tournament where each of these matches has the same story. These Oddfellows odds, so it kind of overshadows the world title picture.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
A little bit. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I their tag match, I had me in stitches in the opening when when MJF was doing Adam Cole's entrance. I couldn't help it. It was so funny.
He was
Yeah,
acting as like Roderick Strong.
it was so funny, man. It was not. It was more to me. It was more Damien Mizdow. He was doing the whole thing. He came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
He was doing the thing, and he hit the boom.
I got
I was
that.
dying. And then the match weren't bad itself, So yes, it was. It was. I don't know. It's for me. It's entertaining. It is like you're saying though. With their feud at the moment, I'm seeing it be less pro wrestling and more sports entertainment. But that's not a bad thing because
I
AEW has
like
a
it.
lot of wrestling all the time. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's good to sprinkle a little bit of sports entertainment in over the top.
No, I like it, and that's why I think I enjoyed AEW when it first started because yeah, we're not nearly 4 or 5 years in now, but when it first started, it felt like a variety show. It felt like there was some like for everybody, and they kind of lost that, and it became wrestling heavy for the longest time.
Hmm.
And I feel like they're going more down an entertainment route on certain segments now, which I think is better for everyone. Like, as much as we love wrestling and we love the in-ring product, I feel we all subconsciously are more attracted to the entertainment side and the stories. What I could see coming out of this is I feel like because there's small little subtext things going on with Roderick Strong, I feel like Roddy Strong needs to turn on Adam Cole and get join with MJF to give Roderick Strong that little bit of more street cred in All Elite Wrestling. Because Roddy keeps coming in, he keeps coming in and out, he keeps coming in and out. I feel like Roddy needs to go with MJF.
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. What I would like to see in AEW, and you're probably going to say, oh, you can't replay the same things, meh, meh, meh. But I would like to see Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole get back together.
You're just, you massive Undisputed Era, Mark. You love it. You just love it. Black and gold, brother. Black
Those
and
are the
gold.
guys, man. But that's what I want, though. Like, go Undisputed Era, man. Give Adam Cole the belt. Give the boys the belts, and just have them run for a bit. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, but I don't see why we can't go with the Era again.
No.
I don't. I'll be honest. It's the same thing we sort of spoke about last week with Jack Perry. Roderick Strong's on my list of guys who's fairly boring as a performer.
Yes.
So,
Well, he's not a boring professional wrestler. He's absolutely fantastic as a professional
in the
wrestler.
ring, great as a wrestler. I'm talking. I've never
In
really
between
his
character stuff.
promos. Yeah, his character is really just,
Vanilla.
yeah, like.
Yeah.
So
It's a shame because he's great.
I don't want to see him I don't want to see him strive out on his own because he'll just get swept under the rug. You know what I mean? And I like him as a person, as a wrestler, but he just doesn't entertain me like that. So don't give him his own thing. Don't turn him on Adam and then try and make him, a guy and put him in. No, man, just don't do it. It's boring because he's
No,
just
but
here.
if he gets the rub off MJF though, this is what I'm saying. It gives him that little bit of character edge to be aligned with the world champion. It gives him more of a spotlight. So it would aligning him with someone like that would only be good for him.
No, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It depends. Again, this is all story. It all depends on story. No matter who the wrestler is, no matter who the character is, everything depends on story. If the story's not there, it could go bad. If they aligned him with MJF for this feud, and then this feud ends, then what happens next? Does he continue to be aligned with MJF for the rest of the year? Does MJF turn on him or just be like, I don't need you? Or is this one of them wrestling things where we've seen it a million times before, where he's aligned with MJF, the feud ends, then as soon as the feud's over, MJF comes out on his own, and everyone thinks for a week, where's Roderick Strong? He's supposed to be MJF's bodyguard or friend or tag partner or whatever. And then we just never see him. And it was like, oh yeah, we just used that as a story device. He's gone now. And then we just see him on Ring of Honor as himself again for no reason.
But hear me out here. This is what it could be for, because we've had Adam Cole flirt with the title picture for the longest time, and Adam Cole is perceived as the top guy. From that group of talent, from the Undisputed Era, from that group of talent, he's always the front center man. Now, that story writes itself with Roddy Strong always being in the background to Adam Cole. So you have that organic story there that this could be a device for that story. So we've kept Adam Cole flirting with the main event, so people perceive Adam Cole as this top guy. But if you have the subtext of Roderick Strong's jealousy, that's the story that comes out of this feud. You've kept Adam Cole in the main event. He's flirted with a title, but not now. That's for down the road. We take him back and we build Roderick Strong through Adam Cole. And then you can afford to have Roddy Strong beat Adam Cole down the line, because then that's this is wrestling. Like, this is what we do. This is about making people. So Adam Cole is there to bring Roderick Strong up to his level further down the line.
I don't know.
We'll come back. We'll see. We'll see.
Your stories, you are right. The story is there. But I don't know. I don't know. Because again, then you're talking about making Roderick Strong like a singles guy. I just don't see it.
He needs this attention.
But he needs it. But then what? Like, he has his feud with Adam Cole. I can guarantee. Well, I can almost pretty much perceive it. It's not gonna lead to him being the next main event guy. He's just gonna have a feud with Adam Cole, and then he's gonna go back to ROH and maybe be the pure champ, or he's maybe gonna be the TNT champ for a bit, and like it's just gonna
I
fade
could
into
see him.
obscurity for, and the feud really did nothing for him. Whereas if you throw him back in with Adam Cole, and you throw the other guys in, and you get the Undisputed Era back, you could have those guys take over ROH. You could have those guys be the front men for Dynamite. You could have those guys be the front men for
You are on the Undisputed Era's cock. But maybe he goes back to Ring of Honor as a top guy. Who knows? But it's wrestling. You have to experiment with these things. You have to try and build people. Else, what's the point?
You don't have to do it.
You have to do it.
You don't.
Right. Let me transition. He's still going. Transition now. I just want to quickly gloss over this. Chris Jericho, Don Callis segment, and I know you missed this a little bit.
I did, yeah.
But quick summary: the Don Callis they used real elements again in a story, which I was really happy about. The fact that Don Callis made the call to Chris Jericho to come to New Japan to fight Kenny, and that set the ball in motion for Jericho going to New Japan, which spawned Jericho getting into All Elite Wrestling to start in the company up. And they played off that, and they played off Chris Jericho getting Don Callis back into wrestling. So they showed that real unity on screen, which I'm a big fan of, bringing stories from the backstage into the ring. It makes it organic, especially in this day and age. And Don Callis said, basically in a nutshell, will you join my family? And we're in Canada, Jericho's getting popped. So I feel like we're moving more into a babyface direction with Chris Jericho. So what I think they should do now is keep teasing, flirting with Jericho, because Don Callis said, yeah, will you join the family? And Jericho ended it with one word, maybe, and just left. So they're flirting with Chris Jericho, being with the family, being a babyface. I feel like now that we need to keep building for Chris Jericho to be a babyface, and then Don Callis' family destroy him, and then we give Chris Jericho a break for like 4 months. I feel like Jericho needs to have a break before he comes back as a babyface.
A babyface Jericho in AEW could be great. He's done great work as a heel the past few years. He's really helped push some of the younger babyfaces. Maybe now it's time for him to give some of the younger heels a rub. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm torn with this one, because I'm at a stage where, do I want to see Jericho in another faction? He's been in like 96 of them since he's joined AEW. Mostly created them. You started with the Inner Circle. You got the Jericho Appreciation Society. Do we now need him to join the family, and then what? And then join the Elite, and then join the Golden Lovers, and then join Chaos, and then join the United Empire.
Oh man, the only faction in AEW now should be the Blackpool Combat Club, especially when the BCC and Elite feud is finished at Blood and Guts. The Elite need a break. Like it's boring now to me. Seeing the Elite, Kenny and the Bucks together, being this branded as the Elite. It's how many times? It's just same now, and I feel like that's why there's this thirst for extra entertainment on the show, because we're getting the same 6-man tag matches, we're getting the same matches. We need more entertainment. Let's just have one faction in the BCC whose purpose it is to seek out the best competition and just beat people up. Build them as the sole faction that just kill people, and have the baby faces rise from underneath, just trying to battle the BCC. Sick of too many factions, mate. I'm absolutely sick of too many factions.
Too many factions. So you're telling me you don't like what you're bored of the Elite? You're bored of Too Sweet in Me, bro. You're not gonna Too Sweet me, bro.
I find like the Elite. Yeah, I'm really into Bullet Club Gold. Like I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm gonna go out and say it. I was not the biggest Jay White fan. I didn't get it.
Don't tell me you get it now, because nothing's changed.
I don't get it, but his character works with Juice, and Juice is phenomenal. He's come into his own so much. Like I enjoy his work, his character work so much. He's such a good, like unpredictable character now. Like he makes the group for me, and because he's entertaining, he's good in the ring, he's solid. Like I'm interested to see where the Bullet Club Gold goes. I am. And Jay White's warming on me. Like he's not amazing to me yet, but he's warming on me because he's getting that character up.
I was always into Jay White, but from a outside kind of perspective to you there, I never really got him as a character. Like I never really understood it. Like what I get he was just kind of just a normal guy doing stuff. And that was kind of really how it felt. But I always loved his in-ring work. He's in amazing shape. He's always been in the category that I'd put him in as a champion. You would, he's someone. He works good. He works hard. Um, yeah, I don't know. I on the same breath that you don't get Jay White, I don't get Juice Robinson.
Wow.
I just don't.
Wow.
I've never been into him. When he was CJ Parker in the E, and then when he left and he strived for his own, and ended up in Japan, I just don't get it. He's just.
You leave Juice Robinson alone. You hear me? You leave him alone. You
I
can
just
have
don't
any.
get
You
it.
can have anyone. You don't have Juice Robinson. You don't slag him off. Not on my watch.
I'm not slagging him off. I just don't get it. He doesn't entertain me. Like his promos, he's had good matches, and I have been entertained by his matches, but he's not got the wow factor for me. But you and me have different views on wrestlers and who we enjoy and who we don't enjoy. I mean, you don't like John Morrison, and I love John Morrison. Love John Morrison from day one. So there's that whole bracket there. But yeah, Juice is just a guy I don't get. And this is the thing with wrestling, right? Wrestling is an art, and art is perceived by the viewer. Whoever's viewing it, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You see what you want to see. No one sees the same stuff. Well, most people don't see the same stuff. So, you see something, Juice Robinson. I don't.
Well, we'll agree to disagree.
We'll disagree to
Right.
agree to disagree.
Boom. Welcome back to the booking room. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying with us, guys. Now, Dylan. Now then, I want to talk Bloodline for a second. I want to talk Bloodline.
We the ones.
Now, Roman Reigns is literally creating a show reel for Hollywood.
Yes. 100%. Did you see him cry on cue?
Bro,
Roman. I heard rumors before this Bloodline stuff happened. I'm talking like 2018, 2019 times. I heard rumors Roman had an acting coach, and if those rumors are true, I can see it because
he is
bro,
on a different level. We were talking on the first episode about marquee talent. I've got goosebumps, literally. Like, I was starting to think, okay, the Bloodline story is going to start watering down. And then, holy shit, Money in the Bank happens. And then SmackDown happens. I was like, I thought what we booked was a good SmackDown.
yeah,
But this, my hat is off. Like, Madison Square Garden, sold out Madison Square Garden. And you think to yourself, what has sold out Madison Square Garden? It's this fucking Bloodline story, man. It's high end.
great
Like,
story.
you want to talk about the first segment. I couldn't yeah, the Usos came out, crowd happy. Heyman comes out with Solo. Solo has got such good subtext at the moment. You know, they come out, Heyman starts to speak. No one cuts me off on the microphone. Solo grabs the mic. He takes it. The crowd start to chant Solo, Solo, Solo. And then he just gets the mic, drops it out the ring, then looks to the Tron. And then Roman's music plays. Oh, I was like, here we go. Here we go. And then this is when the acting starts. Like, they say Roman is a master manipulator. And the video package that the Usos showed all these manipulating his attitude problem from Roman, all his wrongs doing behind their backs. And then Roman, the second the package finishes, starts to manipulate the whole situation again.
Yeah.
My daughter's in the back. You're embarrassing me in front of my daughter. Is that what you're trying to do? And I was like, he's
So good.
hitting nerves, bro. And then oh, and then he starts crying. I did this for you. I did this for you. But mate, did you clock this? When he looked at Jay and he said, I did this for you, the subtext from Jimmy, which got my brain working a whole different route that they could take this down. Like Jimmy was looked at Roman and then he looked at Jay. This is fuck, this motherfucker getting the limelight again. It's all
Yeah,
about Jay.
but we spoke. What did we speak about? What did we speak about? Jimmy and Jay doing the part ways could lead to Jimmy turning on Jay.
I
see
feel
it.
I feel that's our WrestleMania match. It's Jimmy versus Jay.
That would be good. And then you separate them after, and you put one on Raw, one on
Mm.
SmackDown, and you let them sink or swim. I think Jay will swim a mile, but I do think Jimmy's got a shelf life. I just don't think he's the more entertaining out of the two brothers. His work's great. His mic skills are great, but I just don't think the crowd are behind him as much as they are his brother. And yeah, but the stuff with Roman, but it was always there, bro. His acting since he's done this Bloodline feud has just been top tier. Like, I'll never forget one of my favorite Roman matches for the past couple of years for this Bloodline stuff was the Hell in a Cell Roman versus Jay. Yeah, it's when oh man, it's when he's crying and he's breaking down in the ring, and he's like, what have I done? And I felt it. I was there. I felt it.
It was Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. It was Anakin.
And then
What
he
have
caught
I
him, boom, and he had
done?
him in the thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And it was Revenge of the Sith. What have I done?
What have I done? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. It was so there. And this thing, man, this segment, he gives him the I forget what they call him. The tribal neck dress thing. But he gives it to Jay, and he gets down on his knees and literally.
We go back to the low blow,
bro. When
we spoke about this last week. How good that little detail was, and they reverted back to it, and oh my god, yeah. Carry on. Sorry, I'm just too excited.
No, but you were right. It was that low blow moment and it was the way it happened. The way he had me for a second, he legit had me. I was on the edge of my seat, and he was crying and he was down on his knees, and I thought, wow, is this how we're gonna go with the story now? Is Roman literally now? Are we gonna do what me and you spoke about him doing the pack situation where he's disheveled and he's a shell of his old self, you know what I mean, and he's sort of slumped into this Usos bloodline, and then blah with a low blow. I was like, man, it needed to happen. It needed to go.
When Jay had an angry, defeated face, but when Roman started to cry and dropped to his knee, and then when he started to cry, you saw Jay switch and drop down with him. I was like, the emotional heartstrings that they're putting on this, I don't think there's been such a deep-rooted storyline ever in wrestling.
Yeah.
I feel like this storyline is whoever's writing this, it's fucking genius.
It's drama,
genius.
And that's what I'm liking. It's drama.
And
it's real
we didn't even
drama.
We didn't even stop there. The beatdown of Jimmy, we took Jimmy out while Jay watches. And then, fast forward through the night, Jay comes back. It was just exciting, compelling television.
But we keep doing this, and this is another thing for Jimmy to turn on Jay with, because we keep doing this. Back during COVID, when the Roman Jay stuff started, Roman kept sidelining Jay, kept sidelining Jimmy. We kept using Jimmy as a prop to make Jay fire up.
They highlighted that in the package. Did you notice that in the video package that they kept saying oh, Jimmy, and he's like, I'm not Jimmy. There's little things that they keep throwing out there that there was no need to show that backstage promo when Roman calls Jay Jimmy. Yeah. And I feel like that's a very important little nugget that they're going to come back to. So Coming out of this, let's just go to the end of SmackDown now. Is like, you know, there's so much to this episode. So like Jay returns, he fires up House of Fire, boom, boom, boom. We see him, he picks up the belt. He looks fucking good with that belt, you know.
Like he looks good with a belt. That belt, I hate that belt. I will not agree.
But then after we saw that, everyone was hot for it. Roman he's got that fear in his eyes. That Jay's beat him once. He's almost beaten before.
Yeah.
Now it's like the thing at the end. We'll come back to the Jay and Jimmy future in a second, but when all that little bit was done, Solo picks up the flowers and he looks at them, and it's just like Solo has started to get this little bit of attention now, where the crowd are rumbling behind him, and I was like, this is a lot.
I
This is a
think it's
lot.
good. I think the Solo stuff at the moment is good. I think he's getting a lot. The fans are getting behind him a lot, and I'm enjoying it. But I'm gonna be
We're creating
honest,
backstory.
it's the same thing that Cody said to him in a promo before Mania. I think it's a bit too early for Solo. I don't want to see them push him too early and
No,
send him out on
but
his own.
you've
Because they did it, bro. This is the one thing, right? They did it to Roman, right? The fans got behind him that Rumble when Batista won. The fans were behind Roman, huge. Like, obviously Brian was at the top. Roman was
they weren't
just
behind
below.
Roman.
They were behind Roman. Everyone wanted to see Roman
They were
split from
not.
the Shield. I don't know
Oh
where
shit!
you were
Yeah,
living.
sorry. Yeah, they were. I'm on about. Yeah, ignore me. Yeah, carry
They
on.
were they were behind Roman. And then when we pulled the trigger on Roman and he won the Rumble, suddenly everyone, it was too soon. It was too soon. You can't do it. I
Just
don't like him. Boo, Roman. Boo, you're making him the guy. We don't want him to be the guy. Like, and that's what I'm worried about with Solo. Everyone's monstering behind Solo right now. They want to see Solo split from Roman. Then what happens? What? Solo splits in a few months' time, becomes IC or United States champion. Then it's, oh, you're pushing him too soon because he's an Alawahi. You're going to make him the top guy. We want to see LA Knight as the top guy. Like, because whenever there's someone above someone, it happens in wrestling time after time. When there's someone like, let's put Daniel Bryan and Roman again. Everyone wanted Bryan to succeed. Roman then was the one who was given that opportunity, and Roman paid the backlash for it. It's gonna happen again. Everyone's behind LA Knight at the moment, and then
You've got to
he's
look at
gonna
it.
give it
You've
to
got to look at it like
Solo,
this.
and everyone's gonna tear him apart.
You've got to look at it like this. You've got to see it like, imagine this was 3 years ago, and what they did with Jimmy and Jay. All we're doing now is creating backstory. We're creating backstory for Solo. So in a couple of years' time, we've got this to go back on. Always think it's like any TV show. You've got to plant the seeds for the backstory, And I feel like going from here, this is what I could see happening is I feel when Jay, obviously, I don't think I would be very, very shocked if Jay went over at SummerSlam. I don't think it'll happen.
Jay won
And
the
I,
belt.
I don't, or if he won the belt, I see them doing it how they did it with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, is Jay will have his moment, and then on his first defense or second defense, Jimmy will fuck him. He'll fuck him and cost him the title. And then I feel like the Bloodline will own the Royal Rumble match. I feel like because Roman is lining all these people up in the Bloodline to be top guys, and you got main event Jey Uso, Jimmy wants to be on his level, Solo coming into his own. I feel like the Royal Rumble will be a storyline for the Bloodline. And it's like Roman will be like, okay, you all think you're top guys, one of you go and win the Rumble, and that will be a heavy story in leading into the Royal Rumble, which will advance the Bloodline story to that next level to put them more in a main event picture that doesn't involve Roman, but it does involve Roman, but from afar. And then, it creates so many different avenues that we could go down.
You know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Thinking about it as you were saying that in my head, I was imagining things. If SummerSlam, Roman beats Jay, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that happening, in which Roman, we build this story over time. We slowly see cracks between the Usos. we get to Rumble season, and Roman says, "You guys want to be me so badly. You want to be the head of the table. Da, da, da. You know, win the Rumble. You know what I mean? Let's do it. Let's do it at WrestleMania if you win the Rumble." I think Jay winning the Rumble, I'd be behind. I think Jay and
You can
Roman
see him.
main event in the
You can see him
Mania,
saying
I'd
it.
be behind.
You can see Roman saying it. You want to be a main event guy? Win the Rumble and face me at WrestleMania.
But then
You want the main event?
it's the issue, right? It's this is where I'm at with it. Yeah, like as much as I'd love to see Jay win the Rumble and face Roman at the main event of WrestleMania because his main event Jey Uso, he the ones, we the ones. Yeah, I genuinely, I don't know, man. There's so much happening in WWE at the moment. Like I want Cody to finish the story, but if Jay wins the Rumble, if Jay main event, when does Cody finish the story? You know what I mean? I don't want Cody to finish the story at a Backlash. I don't want Cody to finish the story at a Great Balls of Fire or something stupid. Like Cody has to beat Roman. Cody has to be WWE champion. He has to beat Roman. And he has to do it at Mania.
That's where we're going to go. That will be the match. That will be the title match at WrestleMania. It has to be. That's the only way we can finish the Cody story.
If you're doing this stuff with the Bloodline now, it's so compelling and it's so strong, like the Sami Zayn stuff. You could culminate the Bloodline story at Mania, which is what's annoying because then there's so much going on. But then also, I'd like to see LA Knight win the Rumble.
Could I pitch this to you? We'll come back to LA Knight. Can I pitch this to you? Okay, so if for some reason that Jay does win, and then Jimmy fucks him, we build to either Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania, or you have a Bloodline triple threat match. So you have Jimmy versus Jay versus Solo in a triple threat at WrestleMania. That could be decent. Or if you continue to push, if you have this feud with Jimmy and Jay early, if it's premature, you could have their blow off before the Royal Rumble, and then you have main event Jey Uso win the Royal Rumble, and then maybe face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania on Raw. You know, I don't know. There's so many ways you could go with it.
Nah, I think.
I do see Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania, or a Bloodline triple threat match at WrestleMania between the three brothers.
If we don't get a Jimmy versus Jay at Mania, I don't know. For me, the next Mania progression for this, or the end, if they wanted to end the Bloodline stuff completely, like close that chapter completely, I do think it has to be Jay versus Roman for the belt at Mania. Whether it's a Rumble win or something, but it needs to be that. But then again, then Cody needs to win. Bro, this is the issue with having these, like Roman having 3 belts. This is the problem.
We're booking ourselves into a corner, guys.
We are. Like, we are, and so are they, because you've given, like, Roman needs to lose the belts. Like, it needs to happen. And it's annoying because I don't know. It needs to be. Bro, I was so for, like, until Monday. No, Monday? Bloody hell. Brains for part. Until Friday, I was so for Cody being the one to take the belts. But now I'm behind Jay, you know.
This is a good thing, though. It's unpredictable, and I love it. I love the fact that you can't call it, and like that's what's been boring about wrestling for the longest time. That you could pretty much call everything that was going to happen. This is too unpredictable, and I love it. And you have to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to watch. But yeah, you know we'll just keep enjoying it every week and just see what happens, man. Like who knows?
From here, man. But I'm excited for it. I've got plenty of time for the Bloodline story, man.
It's compelling, and I don't see it getting. Maybe Jimmy and Jay don't split up, but you know there's other layers to this what I don't think we'll see coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as it was speaking of SmackDown, there's one more thing I want to cover, and that is what does the Office see in Grayson Waller, and what do you see in the future for Grayson Waller?
All right.
Because Edge put him over like a mother this week.
Let me open this with something simple.
Well,
I'm not a huge Grayson Waller fan. I think he's okay. I can see what they see in him. I can see that he has potential, in my opinion, and this is probably going to garner some people to have some conflicting opinions. I see him being the next Miz. I see it. But
I shit you. That's in my notes. I shit you not. That's exactly what I was going to say to you. Continue.
My issue with Grayson Waller, and I said this in last week's episode. I'm pretty sure I said it in last week's episode, or I said it before we started filming, but I did say it last week. It's the Dolph Ziggler thing. It's the gear, man. Some people in wrestling, right? Like you and me wrestled. You know, there were people on the indies that had bad gear. At a point, I had bad gear. You know what I mean?
I had
Like,
bad gear towards the end.
like the issue is the gear, man. I don't like these gloves and this what the heck, these basketball shorts or boxing shorts. Like these I don't like the gear. I will not get behind him with the bad gear, man. And I don't think the office should. The office needs to change his gear. And I don't know if trunks are in his future. You know, he's not got the best body shape. He's got a bit of a wide torso. But I don't know. I can't get behind him because I can't get behind the gear.
I think he looks different. I think when you talk about being the next Miz, I do see that. I see him as like mid card, moving up to main card, and always being that reliable guy in the future that people can work with to
Yeah.
get elevated, or which is perfect what the Miz does. Miz does business with absolutely everybody. Like you can't say that about the Miz. Is he stale? Yeah, but he's a constant that
No,
will
see, I
always
don't
make someone
find the
look good.
Miz stale. I think the Miz is so underrated, and this is what I'm saying about causing controversy. A lot of people give the Miz shit, but I think the Miz is so good.
Oh, he's good.
He's a great hand. He is, yes, he doesn't wrestle this crazy style and he gets injured every 5 minutes and stuff. But the Miz is great even on the mic in the ring. Like he's a great talent to have. The Miz
He
is
is.
someone who really he doesn't get enough credit, man. That guy is he works fucking hard, man.
He'll he'll be one of
He's
those
really
people.
good.
He'll be one of those people that doesn't get the credit till he's gone.
Hmm.
Same with Sheamus.
No,
These are
I don't like
reliable.
Sheamus.
Oh my God, what's
No.
the matter with you, mate?
Bro, I've just you know what? Yeah, I've just the WWE has they've in my opinion they've killed the Sheamus for me. Like
The
that
the Sheamus,
yes,
the
the Sheamus. No, they've killed
the
Sheamus for me, man.
Sheamus.
It's all the babyface thing with Sheamus. I don't like Sheamus as a babyface. I just don't. I just don't. Um, his stuff recently has been a bit more organic than his older babyface work. Um, but I just don't I just don't feel it. When Sheamus is a babyface, I don't know. Like I'm not saying he's not a nice human being or a nice person or anything like that. When Sheamus is a babyface, I don't feel like it's legit. Like I just feel like he's putting on a character on a TV show. But when Sheamus is the monster heel that he's been in the past, like I love it. Like Sheamus, when he feuded with Triple H that time, and he just came out and he just battered Triple H and just injured Triple H. You know what I mean? Like, and they had that whole Mania thing, and then Triple H returned and just completely wiped him out. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
when Sheamus was a heel, he was doing this thing when he was a heel, and I loved it. Right? I genuinely loved it as a kid watching it, where he was facing guys like Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston and stuff, and he was like just monstering out the gate. Then he would do this move against the rope where he was just dropping the knee on the back of their head until they were like lifeless. And he was doing it week after week, and it was just really good at a time when they needed a monster heel. But
You enjoy his aggression as a heel.
yeah, I do. I feel like I said, when he's a heel, I really feel it with Sheamus. But when he's a babyface, I just don't feel it. Don't feel it. I get nothing from him. I can't connect with him. I can't enjoy him. He's just, yeah. And then when he's a heel, but he's angry, like recently, how he's been, with Austin Theory and stuff, and I just don't. It feels fake to me, which is odd. Like I watch him yell at a guy and be like, I'm gonna beat you up, and I'm just like, how are you, mate? Are you okay? All right, fair enough.
Oh, good. That's good, mate. You spent nearly 5 minutes there bashing Sheamus, so
I
that's good.
apologize, Seamus, I do, but I just don't know what it is, mate. I can't get behind you when you're a babyface. I can't do it.
In And that's your opinion, and that's allowed.
It is.
That's allowed, mate.
I
That's the
love
good
him
thing
though.
about
I got a huge respect for him. Like, I use him in the video games, but I always have him as a heel and a monster heel because I just don't get behind him as a babyface.
kneeing people's heads. But yeah, fantastic week for the world of professional wrestling. I had a really, really nice time catching up with everything this week. Um, as for the Bloodline stuff, can't wait. Feed me more, in the words of Ryback.
I'm gonna
But
stop you
yeah,
here
like,
quickly because I feel like you're veering towards the close of the show.
okay.
But there was something on our list that we didn't discuss. We said at the start we were going to discuss, and you've completely skipped it. And I saw you skip it on your format sheet, and I thought I'm gonna wait till we're recording this because this is funny. You forgot CM Punk versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, that wasn't intentional. because okay, let's go into CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. You know, timeless, mate. Like two, they just prove why they're two of the best, like in ring talents of all time. You know, was it as fast and as explosive as 20 years ago? No, it wasn't. But
But they
still
are
an
20 years older, if that makes sense.
outstanding performance by both. And I loved the finish as well when they shook hands and then Joe got his heat back and choked him out after the match. I thought Punk looked good. I'm glad he's not wearing the long boy tights anymore. Just good, just a really, really good match. What people should go out of their way to see. I feel like
For
it's a
me,
really,
Punk
really
needs
good
to.
match.
There's only one thing that's annoyed me with Punk since his return. It's the gear change, man. Again, this is me with the.
Say,
This
the
is me with
gear, he's
sub
obsessed.
superstars. I am a gear mark,
Obsessed with
mate.
the gear.
People
You
have to
always,
have good gear. It has to fit their
every,
character.
that's three talent you've spoke about on this show where you're just moaning about their
And you're gonna,
gear.
mate. So as long as you're doing this podcast, and as long as we're gonna be mates, you're always gonna hear me complain about people's gear. Some people look better in certain gear, some people don't. It's just life. It's like how some people look better in skinny jeans, and some people look better in tracksuit bottoms. Some people look better in dresses. Some people look better in hats. You know what I mean? Like it's just a thing. Some people look better with glasses. Some people don't. You know what I mean? It's just a thing. People have a look about them. And for donkey's years, yes, Punk wrestled in the shorts back in ROH days and indie days, but I got so used to Punk in the trunks, and when he wears trunks in AEW, it still really suits him. He looks great. And then when he wears these shorts, I just feel like he's arriving to the show and he hasn't packed any gear, and he just goes into like somewhere and he's just like, oh yeah, I'll buy them. He goes Hot Topic and he goes, oh, I'll have them. You know what I mean? Like it's like when he came back, the brown elbow pad with the fucking long boys. Like, oh
Well,
man,
that was rotten.
I don't like.
No one cares about this game more than you.
I care about gear, man. You have to, bro. The whole thing with wrestling, right? And it's the same thing we talked about years ago, like with like people being in shape and stuff, right? The whole point of wrestling is you are your own marketing material. You are selling yourself. You want people to get behind you. You want to one look like a believable star. You two want to look good that you're on TV regularly. You don't want to look like you make no effort in life unless you can back it up and you can have like 90-minute Iron Man matches. You know what I mean? Like you've got to look presentable. It's the same thing with any job, mate. If you work in an office-based job and your company's attire is suit and tie, you don't not iron your suit and you come in with a creased shirt and you look a mess. Same thing with wrestling. Your whole thing is you're presenting yourself. So when you come out to have your match, you should have gear that looks good and just doesn't look like you just grabbed it from the merch stand 20 minutes before because you lost your suitcase at the airport. You know what I mean? That does happen. That's a legitimate thing. But when you're doing it weekly, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah, I
Also,
understand your frustration,
it's
mate.
hard for the marketing people as well. You know what I mean? Like they got to make action figures for CM Punk. You know what I mean? And it must be frustrating because Punk's had like 900 attire changes at this point.
You
At
don't.
AEW.
The funny thing is, you don't realize that's why he does it.
What, to piss people off
Because
who have to make his action
no,
figure?
no, because the more gear changes he has, the more figures he has, and the more money he makes.
I mean, I think you're giving him more credit than he deserves here. But
Mm.
CM Punk, if you listen to
It's
this
a
podcast by some magic and that is actually what you're doing, please tweet us
it's a
because I'd
common
be
thing.
interested. I'd be interested to know why you change gear every 36 seconds. Because that's another thing, right? He made the joke back in, when he did the pipe bomb thing with John Cena about how John Cena changes shirt every week, and it's just funny to now see Punk's now the guy who changes gear every week. So it is
And
hilarious.
and he gets the tremendous John Cena reaction, so it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Um,
But wait,
that goes for everyone else.
before we close this off,
Oh,
I just want to say one last thing on the CM Punk and Samoa Joe thing.
go on.
Punk's promo before I thought was great. I thought it was
Yes,
really good.
very, very good. I agree. And like if you felt like you agree as well, or you'd like, always comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, leave your comments. Like, because we want to engage on this show. So if you agree with what we said today, if you disagree with what we said today, we'd love to hear what you got to say. Regardless, let's engage. Let's talk about wrestling. But it's time to close the door once again, Dylan, on the Booking Room podcast. Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we appreciate you watching last week. We got some really, really good reception from our first episode. You know, I for one was nervous going into it. I haven't been in front of a camera in such a long time. So we appreciate you tuning in, and yeah, hopefully you continue to keep tuning in, sharing, liking, subscribing, all that good jazz. You know, I've enjoyed it, Dylan. Really good fun.
Me too. Hopefully, yeah, people tune in. We're going to keep doing this, whether you watch it or not, because this is what we want to do and it's what we're passionate about. And we just hope
Yep.
we can spur some passion in you. And if you get behind this, or even if you don't get behind it, but it helps you maybe spark something in you that maybe you want to start something of your own, or you want to maybe start your own wrestling promotion or something. You know what I mean? But we want to create content for people to enjoy and to get brains thinking. So do comment, do all that jazz. It'd be good to interact with people and sort of gauge how other people feel about the shows and how what's going on. And fans of wrestling, they've always done it. They've always talked like they run the show and they don't. But there's no reason we can't imagine hypothetically how we would do these things, because it's funny when you like how many times has it happened to us where we say something and then it happens on the show and we're like, hang on a minute. It's like we're being spied
Mm.
on. You know what I mean? It's really good. It is really good.
You know, people like to play fantasy stuff all the time. Like, why can't we talk about wrestling and just rebook it in our image? You know, it's fun. You know, this is what we do behind closed door with our mates. This is what we do at the pub with our mates, talk about the shows. So why not? You know, enjoy yourself. Fantasy book. Who cares? Enjoy it. But yeah, that's all we've got time for today. So thank you very much, everyone, once again. Like, subscribe, and yeah, Dylan, let's close the door and we'll see everyone next week on the Booking Room.
We're
Thanks,
out.
everyone.
Patience do you two feel you have to work here at the zoo?